Canada is sending record amounts of aluminum to Europe, while American manufacturers are paying some of the highest aluminum prices in the world. A policy that was supposed to protect and strengthen American industry may be creating a very different result, as tariffs, lower global supply, and Europe's growing demand for low-carbon aluminum come together. The effects are spreading across manufacturing, supply chains, and the auto industry. Today, we are looking at how the 50% aluminum tariff helped change the global aluminum market and why this could affect everything from pickup trucks and SUVs to the next generation of electric vehicles. Tariffs are often presented as a way to make foreign producers pay more, but in reality, much of the extra cost is being felt by American manufacturers and consumers. By early June 2026, the total cost of aluminum in the U.S. had reached around $6,200 per ton, putting pressure on industries such as aerospace and construction. Automakers are also facing higher costs because they're already spending heavily on electric vehicles, software, and new technology. Aluminum is an important material for pickup trucks, SUVs, EV battery boxes, suspension systems, and lightweight vehicle bodies. When aluminum becomes more expensive, automakers have only a few choices. They can absorb the higher cost, put pressure on suppliers, redesign parts, or increase vehicle prices. In the end, consumers may have to pay more for their vehicles without even realizing that higher aluminum prices are one of the reasons. But higher prices are only part of the story. To understand what is happening, we also need to look at global supply problems. Europe is facing an aluminum supply challenge because it is reducing its dependence on Russian aluminum while also dealing with high energy costs and the closure of some aluminum smelters. New instability in the Middle East has added even more uncertainty to global supply chains. When supply becomes tighter and demand increases, prices and premiums rise. This has made the U.S. one of the most expensive aluminum markets in the world. For automakers, this is a serious issue because aluminum is now an important part of EV platforms, truck frames, battery structures, and lightweight vehicle designs. As Europe looks for reliable aluminum supplies, Canada is becoming more important. Canada has a major advantage because much of its aluminum is produced in Quebec using hydroelectric power. This gives Canadian aluminum a lower carbon footprint than many other sources. That makes it attractive to European automakers, aerospace companies, and manufacturers that want cleaner and more reliable supply chains. At the same time, trade patterns are changing. Canada is sending less aluminum to the U.S. compared with previous years, while shipments to Europe have increased. One important reason is something called netback, which means the actual profit producer keeps after transportation costs, tariffs, and other fees are removed. Even if U.S. aluminum prices are higher, tariffs can reduce the profit Canadian producers make from selling there. Canada has not left the U.S. market, but it now has more options. And having more options gives Canada greater bargaining power. This shift did not happen overnight. It was helped by the decision to impose a 50% aluminum tariff, which created major changes in the global aluminum trade. The story begins with the idea that Canada did not have many alternatives to the U.S. market. For decades, Canadian aluminum has been supplied to American automakers, aerospace companies, construction projects, and manufacturers across many industries. When the tariff was raised to 50%, many people expected these shipments to continue as usual. But markets do not always follow political expectations. As selling aluminum in the U.S. became less profitable, Canadian producers started looking for other markets. Europe, which was already facing growing supply problems, quickly became an attractive option. The tariff did more than increase prices. It also changed where Canadian producers wanted to sell their aluminum. This is very important for automakers because aluminum is used in EV battery enclosures, vehicle body panels, wheels, suspension parts, and lightweight truck designs. This is no longer just a trade dispute. It is becoming a competition for access to an important industrial material that many industries around the world need. And that may be the biggest lesson from this story. Markets can change much faster than policymakers expect, and the biggest effects may still be ahead. Before we continue, if you are enjoying this breakdown of how trade policies, important materials, and the automotive industry are becoming more connected, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. Here at Piston Pundit, we follow the changes that are shaping the future of vehicles, manufacturing, supply chains, and global industry. Now, let's look at why this change could continue even after today's headlines are gone. The biggest development is not simply that more Canadian aluminum is going to Europe. The more important change is that long-term supply chains are starting to shift. When manufacturers approve new suppliers, sign contracts, build transportation networks, and use a certain material in their production, those relationships can last for many years. Companies spend a lot of time and money building trusted partnerships, so they usually do not leave them without a strong reason. Canada now has several advantages that global buyers are looking for. It has reliable supply, lower carbon production powered largely by hydroelectric energy, and access to both North American and European markets. For the automotive industry, this is very important. Future EV platforms, lightweight trucks, battery systems, charging infrastructure, and advanced manufacturing all need a stable supply of industrial metals. The U.S. is still a major customer for Canada, but Canada now has more options. That gives Canada more power in future trade negotiations. This leads to a bigger question. Are we only seeing a temporary change, or are we watching the beginning of a new global aluminum market? The aluminum story of 2026 is about much more than tariffs. It is about strong supply chains, industrial competition, and control over important materials. The 50% tariff was designed to strengthen American domestic production, but has also increased costs for many U.S. manufacturers. At the same time, it has encouraged Canadian producers to find more customers and expand into new markets. Europe's search for reliable and low-carbon aluminum has created new opportunities for Canada that were much smaller a few years ago. For automakers, the stakes are high. Aluminum is essential for lightweight pickup trucks, fuel-efficient SUVs, EV battery structures, and next-generation vehicle platforms. If high aluminum costs continue in the U.S., while Europe builds stronger relationships with Canadian suppliers, future vehicle prices and manufacturing decisions could be affected. Now we want to hear from you. Did the 50% aluminum tariff strengthen American industry, or did it create unexpected problems? Will Canada's growing aluminum trade with Europe become a permanent change in global supply chains? Could higher aluminum costs eventually make vehicles more expensive for consumers? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. As always, we enjoy hearing from the Piston Pundit community. And if you enjoyed this analysis, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next vehicle update, automotive industry report, and major developments shaping the future of transportation. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. You can also check out any of the videos on the screen. There's plenty more to explore.